What is going on? Lone Chemist Podcast, episode 30. Well, let me check the tab. 33. I'm very unprofessional, so I'm sorry. My name is Johnny. I'm the Lone Chemist, and I got a guest here that I've been waiting a hell of a long time to get on. I have Alan Mehanna from Script to Scream. What's going on, man?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, we were trying to get this, scheduled for, better part of, 3 or 4 months or something like that.
Yeah. It's been ages since we've been trying to
to do this.
collaborate and get together and do a podcast, and it went from one thing to another, to you getting busy to me getting busy. It was insane.
Well,
In the meantime, your Thanos video hit like 2 million views.
It's like 1.1, 1.2, I forget. But yeah, thanks, man. I was pretty happy about that for sure. Yeah, but well, also, I mean, I can't really brag about my Thanos video because you got a fucking TED talk, so I can't really, I don't have a lot of clout next to you, to be honest. But
Yeah, that was a good time.
oh yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit. But so first of all, can you just kind of go into what your profession is? I know you're explain to people what you do, I guess.
All right, so that's gone into an evolving process, because it was, it used to be one thing once I graduated from college, and then it continually evolved and filtered and whatever. So I guess I graduated with a film degree, and then I got a master's in screenwriting. So between my film degree and the screenwriting master's, or the creative writing for media master's from Full Sail, I went from being a director or filmmaker to, okay, I just want to write and tell stories on paper. And then that shifted when I moved back to Lebanon. I freelanced as an editor for a while, and I dabbled in acting. So I went back to having a million things on my business card, which is never a good thing. And then I started teaching at a local university. So I started teaching writing courses and film courses. So I guess in a roundabout, I'm a film person, or the easiest thing that, for me, I think that the best way to kind of sum it all up in a way that's not pretentious or whatnot is to just say that I'm a storyteller. I think that is the easiest way to explain it, and to sum up everything that I do is I tell stories. I'm a storyteller. So,
Okay. I mean, sweet.
yeah.
And what I like about your stuff is I feel like you have your foot in the door in many different aspects of screenwriting and also film critique. You have your podcast, you have this TED talk. I guess what got you really interested in film critique to begin with? Were you just obsessed with film as a kid? Were you fascinated as you kind of grew up a little bit? What's the deal with that?
Um, Interesting. So the reason I got into film in the first place was because of my dad, because my dad is an actor in Lebanon.
Oh
So
wow.
it kind of, it runs in the family.
Sure.
So I got into film because of him. So I grew up watching movies because of him. And my mom, my mom likes movies too. So I grew up watching movies. So I fell in love with movies, and I always knew that I wanted to be in the industry. It was just I didn't know what I wanted to be in the industry, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, and then I guess the film criticism thing came along. I was doing it for fun, actually. I had a Letterboxd account for a while, and then I was reviewing movies on Instagram and on Facebook. So I was just kind of giving my opinion, because a lot of my friends, I would talk about movies with my friends, and we'd go together and watch a movie, and they'd be like, "Well, you should, review movies. You're actually really good at this. You point things out that we've never thought of or we didn't think of." And I guess that's all because again, I studied film, and not a lot of my friends did. So, wow, that really sounded pretentious. Sorry.
No. Trust me. I know you personally, so I know you're not a complete asshole. Don't worry about it.
So it was a little push from, I guess, from friends and family who were like, you should try to find a way to do this professionally. Which was a little difficult to do, because I didn't know, how do you go about doing this professionally,
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, at the university where I teach, I befriended a guy who was a student at the time, because I was walking into work one day. I was walking to the university, and I heard them. There was a group of them. They were all huddled up, and they were talking Star Wars. So it was like a magnet drew me to the conversation. I was like, are we talking Star Wars? Okay, what's going on? And I think they were talking about the Clone Wars at the time, the animated TV series.
Yeah.
So him and I hit it off. Turns out he works at a local newspaper. So he's like, do you want to write film reviews? And I was like, wait, you serious? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, yeah, definitely. So then that happened. So it started at the newspaper, and then eventually it evolved into the podcast.
Okay.
And that was kind of like it was like almost maybe 2 years post me writing for the newspaper, or a year after me writing for the newspaper. 2 years. I got the opportunity to get into the radio station in Lebanon, and then started Script to Screen, which began as a different entity than what it is now. But then that's how it got into, the podcasting. And now I actually record my record my reviews, and I do audio essays. And, I'm trying to keep up with all of you guys, because it's crazy. Like, like you, and then Bailey and Brown Table. And like, I'm like, I can't catch up with anybody. Like, you guys drop videos like crazy. So I'm like, I can't. Wait. I'm just gonna stick to podcasting,
dude. Honestly, man, like, but that's my plight. Like, I want to be able to make video essays as much as I possibly can and post them like every single week. But I mean, a PhD in chemistry is not really conducive to fucking sitting at your computer and editing fucking videos all day, unless I want to get killed by my fucking advisor. Yeah. So, in terms of well, I mean, like, in terms of setting aside some of the film critique stuff, you've also been involved in a lot of different things, like, over in Lebanon. So, like, I'm just kind of curious, what's, like, the entertainment and the film sphere like out there in Lebanon?
It's the games. Like,
I'm sorry, you cut out. Say it again.
Oh, it's the Hunger Games. It's, like, legit the Hunger Games. I've never seen... I mean, okay, look, so our industry isn't necessarily, it isn't relatively old. So, like, we don't have, we did have movies back in the day. Like, we did have cinema. It was mostly musical genre movies that we had. But then when the Civil War broke out in, like, the 70s and 80s in Lebanon, that really wrecked the industry. And so it took a toll on the country. It took a toll on the economy. It took a toll on the industry itself. And the industry hasn't really fully properly recovered.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in Lebanon, as far as movies go, we get like a lot of like B movies and C movies, like really like cheesy comedies and all that stuff that don't really go anywhere except for Lebanon. It's like very Lebanese inside jokey. But then, did I cut out again?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. But then, okay. But then you get every once in a while, you get these movies like The Insult or like Capernaum, which like go far and beyond, and they reach, like the Oscars. And I mean, like, in a span of 2 years, Lebanon had its name in the Oscars twice. Like we had it last year and we had it this year again. So I mean, we're on the right track. We like in America, you've got like November sweeps. In Lebanon, in the Middle East, normally we've got like Ramadan. So in Ramadan, it's like the November, like that's where all the biggest budgeted shows go on the air, blah, blah, blah. This year, we've had an exclusive like Netflix original Lebanese Syrian TV series. So like we're on the right track. It's just taking a while to get back into the game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a classic example of like the economy and like the civil unrest like contributing to like, the downfall of an industry, which kind of sucks. But I mean, but that is true. I mean, Lebanon has had some amazing films come to America and even reach like kind of critically, massive heights. So that's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just kind of curious. I mean, so your dad's an actor, right? How was it growing up like in a family of like film people or like actors or whatever?
Ooh. Okay, so growing up, because we did move to America when I was like 12, turning 13. But for the span of my life that I was in Lebanon, I was the popular kid because I'm that guy's son.
Wait, he's a big actor. Wait, he's a big actor. Like he's like
yeah. There's a sitcom in Lebanon that kind of echoes like the Home Improvement, Bill Cosby show kind of style. And my dad was the Tim Allen / Bill Cosby of the show.
That's so sick.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy. I mean, people still call him by his character's name to this day. He was also a stage actor, so like he was in big shows, big musicals, a lot of vaudeville, and then very recently he played the role of the president in The Insult, which came out last year. So he was the president in the movie The Insult last year.
Wow.
So I mean, it was pretty good. I mean, I couldn't be proud of my dad. So. But then, moving to the States, that was a culture shock because I went from being, the hero to the zero in a matter of, 24 hours. So, yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
What rises, what goes up must come down, I guess.
I got you, man. But yeah, like, it sounds like what I like about your story is like, you just you've progressed into like this role very, very naturally as a critic, but also like you're doing public speaking and you're being a professor or like a teacher, which I mean, I'm doing my PhD, but I'm teaching organic chemistry, which is not as fun as teaching film. So
hey, it's all a matter of perspective, my friend. I'm sure a lot of those students love hearing you lecture. Just saying.
And we'll see about that in a couple months. When they get the final exams back, maybe they'll be.
Oh, damn.
Dude, like, oh God, teaching at a college is just like.
Oh, don't even. I mean, I got you. I know exactly how you feel.
I know.
These 20-year-olds need their butts whooped is what it is. It's
dude, like, it's just so fucking stupid because like, I feel like they expect it to be like high school where it's like high school is all about like, hey, did you do the homework and does it look like a monkey wrote it? And the answer is yes and no to those questions, then you get an A. But I feel like
I love knowing that everybody's suffering globally from the coddled 20-year-olds.
Like, and it's so dumb. Like this one story, like I was teaching a lab, I think my first year in graduate school, and this girl came up to me and I give her a report back, and she is, a very smart girl, one of the smartest in the class. She got like a 94, 95 on the lab. Keep in mind, an A in organic chemistry at this university, because it's a lot of grade inflation, is like, I think like an 85 or something like that. Alan, you there? Hello?
Yep, I'm still here. It's just dark because the electricity went out. So give it a few seconds. I love that I'm exposing this aspect of Lebanon to everybody. This is fantastic.
Wait, this happens all the time, really?
Oh yeah. Welcome to a third world country, my friend. So the electricity goes out at particular times throughout the day, and then you're on the generator for a while, and then the electricity comes back on. Yes, I love that this is the exposure Lebanon is getting right. Oh, there it is. Light is back. Light is back. This is brilliant.
Oh my!
So good. Hang on. So I got to turn off the air conditioning before the generator turns off again. Okay.
For people who are watching, Alan froze, which and then he it was shrouded in darkness, and now he's back. There we go. Perfect. Okay.
This is an adventure of a podcast, let me tell you. Okay.
I know, man. Hey, it's all right. We're getting the kinks out here. But anyway, on the story, so like this girl got a 95 in her lab. She is like one of the smartest in the class, and an A in organic chemistry at the school is an 85. It's a lot of grade inflation at the school. She put the entirely wrong answer for one of her questions in the lab, and she came up to me afterwards and was like, "Johnny, like, why didn't I get points to this question?" I'm like, "Well, because you got the wrong answer." "Well, I meant this." And I'm like, "Okay, you may very well have meant that, but you wrote this."
And then, I love how she wants points for intent. That's so cute.
Like, like,
yeah.
And like, at least like there are some people that say that, and like maybe they misstate a certain term in an answer, but the entire thing is right except for that one term or context or whatever. But when the answer is completely wrong and you see you meant something completely different, I'm like, don't bullshit a bullshitter. Like, fuck you.
Yeah. Like it's like I was a student a couple of years ago, darling. We invented those games. You know,
Exactly. Like my dog ate my homework,
oh,
my email wouldn't work, like shit like that. Like, come on.
ugh.
Get any horror stories from teaching?
Um, I mean, not necessarily horror stories, but I would say that it is quite a challenge teaching. Like, look, like chemistry, I kind of like. It's very fact based. Like it's
Yeah.
there's like facts and right answers and wrong answers and all that stuff. Like I almost feel like film is a little different
Oh, of
in
course
this
it
case
is, yeah.
because because you've got this idea of like subjectivity. You've got this idea like you can't necessarily grade art. But yeah, I mean, like every once in a while, you get people. I have a student currently right now who constantly thinks that I have like I have a target on their back, and I personally don't like them, which is why they keep failing my course. I'm like, darling, no. Like you're failing because you just don't want to study. Like it's,
Yeah.
it's an art of film class. So this one is more easily graded because there's like factual stuff. There's exams that you have to like write out answers to, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, like you've got a 42 over 100. Like you're not going to pass. Like,
42. Ooh. Can't salvage that shit.
Nope. Not even if I tried. But like I wouldn't say I've had horror stories. Look, the thing that the thing that constantly makes me hopeful for this country, specifically in the industry, is that we really do have extremely talented, passionate, ambitious artists. And I'm going to say artists because I really think it's across all boards. We've got some amazing dancers. We've got some amazing painters and photographers and filmmakers and actors and editors and directors and theater. Like we have it. The problem is that unfortunately at this stage, we just don't have a government to support it. We don't have a government that is stable enough to support itself, which drives the it's death of government, and stability is the death of art. Like, or it could be a rebirth of art in many ways. It just depends on, it depends on your perspective.
Yeah, for sure. Because like in one ways, the liberation from like I guess an oppressive regime or like maybe an unorganized government can be like room for people to actually be more creative, more expressive. But on the other hand, if you have no infrastructure to actually have your thing be heard or seen, then it's kind of useless. Yeah, it definitely on perspective, I feel that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting, man. I'm sure we could have like a 3-hour long political talk or something like that.
Oh, I'd have to be careful talking about that because Lebanon's freedom of speech laws don't necessarily apply.
Oh, geez, really?
So, yeah.
Is like the UK's laws where it's like it's freedom of expression but not freedom of speech or whatever?
Sort of, maybe a little more, a little harsher, because like I've had a student get arrested for sharing his political opinion on Facebook. So
arrested?
Yeah, he was jailed for I think like 2 days because of him criticizing and saying stuff that he probably should have been smarter about and not said. So,
good Lord.
Welcome to a third world country. Generators, electricity, dodgy internet. Get arrested for Facebook statements.
Jesus Christ.
I'm really selling Lebanon today. Like, it's great. It's fantastic.
Well, you're Uncle Batman, dude. I'm sure that you're a bit jaded just in and of yourself.
Yeah.
Uncle Batman, baby.
Okay, so here's a story about the Uncle Batman thing. Like, I have to explain. So it's not just Uncle Batman t-shirt; it's an Uncle Batman mug as well. And the story behind that is, at one point, my sister and her now husband, back then boyfriend, or fiance maybe at the time, they went to the U.S. to finish off their masters in entertainment business, and she was feeling a little homesick. Had gotten into an argument, whatever. So we were Skyping and I was trying to make her smile. So I have a Batman Funko Pop. Yeah. And so I grabbed the Funko Pop and I literally like popped it up like right there, like in front of the camera. Like I popped it up and I went, "I'm Batman." And she just started laughing hysterically for whatever reason. It like completely drove her crazy. And so ever since then, I've been Batman in her phone. Like she has me as I'm Batman in her phone. Yeah. So when she announced last Christmas, when she announced that they were having a baby, she got me the Uncle Batman mug, and then it says established 2018 on the bottom. And then this past Christmas, they gave me the Uncle Batman T-shirt with a Batman. I don't know if you can see it. The Batman mask.
There's a cowl on there. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, the cowl. So yeah, I mean, what's funny though is that like Batman is not necessarily my favorite superhero. So, but I've got like Batman everything now, so it's just like, all right, I'll go with it.
And I see you have a Hulkbuster up there, right? Like on your
shelf. So a Hulkbuster, Captain America, a Golden Iron Man, and a Red Skull.
Sweet.
But then like the other Funkos are spread out across my room, so they're not all there. But the Hulkbuster and the Captain America I got at Middle East Film and Comic-Con this past year. Because Script to Screen was an ambassador for Comic-Con this year, so I was able to go. I had a massive interview with Ross Marquand from The Walking Dead, and he played Red Skull in Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. So I got those from that. The Golden Iron Man I got from the co-host of Script to Screen, Hod Solo. He got it to me when he traveled. I think he was in London. He came back and he got me the Golden Iron Man.
Sweet, dude. So, I mean, I guess stands the reason you're probably pretty big into superheroes, right? Like, so.
I think I'm just pretty big into movies because, I mean, I've got it as it stands now. Like, I've got more superhero Funko Pops than I do others. But, which I was telling him, I was like, for someone who really loves Star Wars, my Star Wars Funko Pop game is trash. All I have is a Darth Vader Funko Pop. That's all I have. It's so bad for someone who loves Star Wars. So,
well, my Funko Pop game is trash in just general because I have none.
Oh no, I've got Harry Potter ones. I've got 2 Game of Thrones ones. I've got the It clown, which is kind of weird. But
wait, the Tim Curry It or the
no, the Alex Skarsgård It.
Okay, gotcha. Let's get into movies, man. So,
sure.
Since we talked about politics a little bit, I'd love to talk a little bit about Vice with you because I think that Vice was, I think it was my favorite movie of 2018, and like, it was just like, let me say this: if you don't align politically with Adam McKay, or you don't respect like the way he actually makes the film, or you don't like the creative choices, I completely get that the film is polarizing and jarring, and like it's a biting film. But if you take out all of the other extraneous stuff, like how you fall in the political spectrum, or the kind of preferences you have for entertainment, or what kind of format you like to see with a film, you can't deny that if you take all that out of it, the film is brilliantly made.
Genius.
It's genius.
It's genius. It's absolutely genius. I'm not that I like sharing my political views, but like I'm more of I'm very much like a little right of center is where I lie. So I could see how some people were bothered, but I never let movies that, let's say, are promoting a political ideology, let's say, that differs from mine. I never let them necessarily get to me because it's an artist's right to express whatever the damn hell they want. I'm anti-censorship. I'm anti, I'm even anti-boycotting to a certain degree, or petitioning, which is the new trend. So I'm always open to watching and whatever. Where it bothers me, I think, is when it crosses the line to being something that's completely inorganic and like completely forced. That's when it bothers me. I'll just give a quick example. Avengers Endgame, the entire, female superheroes joining hand in hand and, whatever. That for me felt like that was the cheesiest, most forced feminist moment in a movie, period. Like in any movie, period.
Yeah, I totally agree because in that moment, I can't even speak. I'm so fucking tired. That moment specifically, my coffee hasn't kicked in yet, but in that moment specifically, look, you can have a moment where you showcase all the female Avengers. It does not have to be she won't be alone, and then they all come together and it zooms out. Like, look, let's say Captain Marvel was fighting Thanos, and then like stabs him, and then like the Wasp punches him or something like that, like in a fight scene. then you actually have the subtle representation of, okay, all the females in this universe are sticking together. You don't need this cheesy, she won't be alone. Like, it's so cheap and it's condescending.
But what's literally what literally drove me insane is that in Avengers Infinity War, they had the exact same line. She's not alone. They had the exact same line. However, in Avengers Infinity War, the moment was freaking badass. And it was the moment between Scarlet Witch, Okoye, and Black Widow. Like, in that moment, they were fighting one of Thanos' children. That moment is so freaking genius. Like, it's so fucking genius.
Yeah.
Whereas in Endgame, it's just like, here's feminism.
Yeah.
It's like, nah.
And look, like, but like that's not even like real feminism. Like that's like Mick feminism. So like I watch.
Yeah, that's like token feminism.
Exactly
is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. It feels pandering and totally forced. Like, and like if it were to be a true like if everyone to advocate for women, like isn't that kind of like condescending to do that, where it's like all you care about is just seeing the women. You don't care about like whatever. You just want to see them all together and like fighting and stuff. It's like have them have an emotional arc like that one moment in Infinity War.
Exactly. I was just gonna say none of these characters had any emotional anything with each other. Like none of them did. Like all of a sudden you're seeing the Wasp and Captain Marvel and Tessa Thompson and Gwyneth Paltrow. I'm like, these characters never even met before now. Like, how is this even earned? Like, it's not even earned. Anyway, back to Vice.
Yeah.
I think Vice is genius. I think what Adam McKay did, let's say, for the narrative, for screenwriting, what Adam McKay did for screenwriting is genius. Like, he did write it, didn't he?
Yeah, he wrote it. Yeah, wrote and directed it.
Yeah. So, what he did for screenwriting is insane. Like, just the way that he structured his narrative is just absolutely, it's so crazy. And then what he did for editing.
Hank Corwin killed that movie.
My God. Oh my God. That movie is so intricately edited. Like, it's so beautifully edited.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. But again, like, my teacher in college used to say something. He used to say, it takes a village to make a movie. And, again, Vice is proof of this because Adam McKay's script, Adam McKay's vision, combined with the editor, combined with Bale and Adams and the entire cast, Steve Carell, whatever, it's lightning in a bottle, this movie.
Yeah.
I don't agree with the people that bash it. I really don't. I think their subjectivity is taking over a little too much.
Yeah.
But I respect it. I just don't get it. Like,
yeah, for sure. I totally agree. We're like, look, you can have any preference you want, but I feel like people are using the format of the film being like a pseudo documentary, but also political, like, satire, and also kind of a biopic, and also truly breaking the fourth wall in a genius way. Like they're viewing all those conflicting things, and they think the movie doesn't work and it collapses into itself. But I thought that all of those elements did an amazing job for actually conveying the movie. So, like, one editing choice he makes, when Cheney starts taking over Washington and, like, he gets to the Oval Office and basically has that meeting with his surrogates, the fact that instead of a really long, drawn-out, like, we got Bolton over here, like a really, like, stupid backdoor scene, we see a Stratego board, and basically all of them are pieces and being knocked down and rolling dice and shit. That was the most clever fucking thing I've seen in the movie in years. Because it's like, how many of those stupid political scenes do we see where someone's like, well, Senator, hope I follow this instruction deal, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like stupid, like backdoor stuff. And we see a board game to convey that. Like, just.
Or how about talking about war while Maitre D lists off what's on the menu.
Oh man. Yeah.
Or how about halfway through the movie, cut to black, roll the damn credits? Like, what?
Yeah, like the last line's like Dick and Lynn are now in like Wyoming raising sheepdogs, and then
yep.
So
it's
funny.
just the credits are rolling, and then it's like, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, like
genius, absolutely genius.
So genius. Using The Big Short too, right?
Yes, but I saw it like when it came out and haven't since, so I don't really remember that much about it.
Yeah,
but I do remember that it's similarly paced
Yeah.
to Vice, because I think Adam McKay likes this kind of like speed, like the movie starts, it doesn't stop until it's over, like that sort of thing. So yeah,
for sure. Now I do have a couple of critiques of Vice. Like, I mean, really, the only one that I can actually like attest to where it's like, okay, maybe this didn't work out so well was the sequencing. Now, let me be clear. I think some of the nonlinear stuff was fucking genius, but I think the beginning of the movie, like for the first 20 to 30 minutes, it's kind of finding its footing. It doesn't really know what to do yet.
Yes,
So,
agreed.
for example, in 1963, that's where we start the movie where it's a drunk driving thing. Cuts to black. We go to 9/11. Then we have the narrator kind of like doing the video essay kind of intro. Then we have the title cards. Then we go further beyond 9/11. Then we go back to 63. Like, we should start the movie at 9/11, and then we should go from there with nonlinear stuff because we want to see where we get to and then how we get there at the on the outset. I feel like, but I mean that's kind of a small complaint. That's kind of preference.
Yeah, I mean, like this is McKay's. This is kind of McKay saying this isn't going to be a movie that or it's like what Luke says in The Last Jedi. This isn't going to be what you expect. Like this isn't going to go. How the way you think, kind of thing. I do agree. I see your perspective. Yeah, I mean, it's a little rickety in the beginning, but then once it kicks off, it kicks off.
Yeah, like once he actually gets to Washington and is one of the surrogates for Rumsfeld, then the movie like legitimately like is just so fucking clever. Like it's so smooth. Also underratedly, Steve Carell had a really small role, but like he disappeared behind that role. Like I didn't recognize Steve Carell. He looked like a different person. That was great.
I am one of Steve Carell's biggest fans. Oh, yeah. I'm obsessively obsessed with The Office.
Me too.
I quote The Office. I GIF The Office, whatever. I'm the that's what she said guy in my group of friends. That's me. That's what she said while I'm in the middle of a lecture. And I sometimes even do it to myself. Like I'll say something and I'll look at my now it's because they've gotten used to me so much. It's like I look at my students and they're all like in unison. That's what she said. Like it's like they. I think Steve Carell is genius. I think he's an amazingly talented actor. And I am down to watch whatever film that whatever film he's in. I'm there.
Yeah, like and even though. I mean, The Office kind of did suffer a bit after he left. Like, I mean, obviously, I'm a massive Office fan. Like, there are some good moments in season 8 and season 9, but like, I'm on one hand, I'm upset that he left the series before it ended. On the other hand, though, like that kind of showed everyone that his career was not being a one-trick pony. Like, he has a lot of good dramatic, reports to give. I mean, after he left The Office, he was in. I think Foxcatcher was one of the first movies he was in when he played. I forget the wrestling coach's name, but god damn, he was haunting in that. He was amazing in The Big Short. Like, so good. He's a really underrated actor in terms of like dramatic ability.
Did you see Beautiful Boy with Timothée Chalamet?
I didn't see it. Was it any good?
His performance is amazing. I cried like 3 times in the movie. So, Jesus. But I'm movies really get to me emotionally. Yeah. So. Yeah.
I'm trying to think what the last movie I cried in. I think 50-50. You ever seen the movie 50-50 with Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Seth Rogen with the cancer thing, yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie. One of my absolute favorites of all time. Like, like that's one of the only movies, like, so there's like those lists online where it's like movies where guys are like able to cry and not feel ashamed about it or whatever, like some stupid shit. 50-50 is always on their lists, like at least somewhere.
Yeah.
And then,
the one that constantly gets me all the time, even though I've seen it like a bajillion times, is The Return of the King.
Oh yeah.
That one kills me. At the end, Frodo says bye to Sam. I'm putty. I'm like bawling, blubbering. I'm an idiot, and I know it's coming. It's like I've seen it. Like I know it's coming, but I'm still crying. Like
yeah, that's you have a timeless movie where like the emotional sentiments you have don't dampen or change, and they just get stronger as you watch them. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
You're frozen, my friend.
Are you there?
I'm here, but you're frozen. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Okay, there we go. Thank you, Lebanon. Still knocking it out of the park.
It's all right, man. Come on. Some positive things about Lebanon. What do you got?
Oh, okay. Really good nightlife.
There we go.
Amazing people.
All right.
Great beaches. In the springtime, if we get a proper winter, you could ski in the morning, go to the beach in the afternoon, which is freaking crazy, but you can do that.
That's sick.
And then in a lot of ways, like, the anarchy is kind of nice.
Shit.
The anarchy is kind of nice. Like, I mean, you know, we've got no road rules, so it's like literally the Fast and the Furious. Yeah, I mean, no, look, I mean, I have the American passport. I could leave whenever I want. I choose to stay because I want to stay. Just the idea of moving out of this country is it seems baffling to me. With all of its flaws, it's home. You know,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I can't see myself ever leaving this country. Like, it's
man.
home. It's yeah.
That's awesome. But it's like, you take, the flaws with like, the really positive stuff, and it keeps you there. It's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah. Glass half full kind of guy.
Always. I'm the optimist and the idealist in my friends group.
There you go.
So, yeah.
All right. Let's talk about, like, before we get back into another specific movie, because we, just sucked Adam K's dick for a little bit. You gave a TED Talk, which is
I did
an absurd achievement, and like that's honestly the coolest thing I've ever heard. Can you like go into like how you were approached for that, like, and like how it kind of came to fruition?
Honestly, it was a Sunday afternoon, not much different than today. Well, afternoon on my end. On your end, it's like in the morning.
Yeah.
It's actually like 6:30 in the evening now. And I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw that there was an opening for TEDx speakers, for a TEDx event. Apply here. And I was like, you know what? What the hell? I'll just do it. It's not like I'm gonna get it, so whatever. And literally, that's what I did. I submitted to this thing, and then I got it. And I was like, shit! Like,
How pumped
and
were you?
then
How pumped?
I was going crazy because, like, I pitched them an idea, and then by the time they told me that I was picked, that idea had like evolved and changed into something else. So I was nervous that was going to be a problem, and thankfully it wasn't. But and then you go through the process. You write the talk. You pitch it to the TEDx board. You go through drafts and changes and whatever, and you go through the rehearsals because you rehearse, and then you have a tech rehearsal, and then you have to memorize it because I had to because the they didn't have a teleprompter and they didn't have a screen, so I literally had to memorize the thing and trust that the tech people were going through the slides exactly where I needed them to. So it was a nice trust exercise like nobody's business. Thankfully, it went off without a hitch.
Nice.
I was super humbled and blessed that I got a standing ovation at the end. I was not expecting that. The entire audience engaged. They cheered. They laughed. I'm literally, it's one of the most unforgettable, humbling, blessed experiences I've ever had in my life so far. Aside from becoming an uncle, of course. But yeah, I mean, like it was crazy. And I know you're dying to see it. I'm dying to see it too. And I keep checking the TEDx page every day in the hopes that I can see the title of my TED Talk in their playlist, but nothing yet.
Yeah, man. Like, that's so cool because, I mean, I feel like TED Talks, like in the general populace, they've kind of made palatable the idea of like an informational lecture because, like,
yeah,
the person who's talking, it's not like they're just like some run of the mill, like, expert who is just like a pencil pusher. They have genuine experience in the thing they're talking about, and they actually want to convey either an emotional sentiment or an opinion or like convey like a findings of a study, and they do it in a way where it's so easily digestible by the general populace, which is like,
yeah,
it's very rare that people are so keen to watch a lecture, which is like, I think it's so cool how like TED's kind of moved to the forefront of like informational devastation. So you gotta send me that shit when it comes out, man.
Well, of course. It's very interesting. After doing the TED Talk, even my lecture class have changed. Even the way that I give lectures in class has changed. Like, because of, like TEDx guidelines, like they don't want you to be too lectury. They don't want you to sound like a monotone, like professor in a class. Not that my lectures before then in class were monotone or boring, but it's allowed me to kind of loosen up a little more and be more engaging with my lectures in class. And again, I'm like very thankful that I had the opportunity to do this. Hopefully I'll get to do another one at some point again.
Yeah, for sure, man. God, I would kill to give a TED Talk. Like, that'd be so much fun. Fuck. Like, if you ever hit your boy up with a recommendation, let me know.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Don't worry. I got you.
Let's talk about let's talk about Aladdin. So,
okay.
All right, so let's just generally go through Disney live action remakes just really quick before this. I'm very mixed on them. On one hand, they can go really, really wrong, and we've seen that. But on the other hand, they can actually be kind of an expansion on the source material. And when it moves into like its own kind of creative entity, I actually like it. Like the Jungle Book, I thought was absolutely absurd.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, absurd achievement in visual storytelling, specifically with their CGI. I mean, those things look real. Like the Panther looked real. And I wish the Lion King that's coming up took kind of more cues from that, because it looks like they just filmed National Geographic and the animals' faces don't move at all. Where like in the Jungle Book, they kind of made them more, not cartoonish, but more anthropomorphized. Like you actually see emotions in the animals' faces a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that live action remakes can't exist at all. In fact, like I really love the Jungle Book, so it's clear they can be good. So walking into Aladdin, now that I've seen it, I had very, 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 very low expectations. Like I was like, this movie can only surpass them because my expectations are so low. Because like I love the original Aladdin, and I'm just like, okay, like the promos didn't look great at all. The genie CGI is kind of weird, but I actually didn't hate it. Like it was a pleasant watching experience, and it was similar enough to the original movie, but it also it also had a couple of new things that I thought were interesting. And so I tried to, like, when I thought about the movie, I tried to divorce the way that I think about the original animated film completely, even though you can't really do that because it's literally an adaptation and a transformation of that. But yeah, I didn't hate it. I mean, I didn't love it, but I thought that surprisingly, Will Smith actually was pretty decent as a genie. Like, I thought he was going to do the whole like Robin Williams impression, which, I mean, like the genie's one of the most iconic animated characters in Disney, so I thought he was just going to do like a straight run-of-the-mill Robin Williams, invocation, but he actually kind of made the role his own, and I like that. I wasn't wild about Jafar or the main character for Aladdin. Like he was fine, but it wasn't anything to write home about. Jafar and Iago are probably like the most annoying parts of the movie for me, because like they just weren't the same characters as they were like in the animated stuff. But yeah, what do you think about Aladdin?
Okay, so I'm gonna go all the way back and talk about the whole Disney live action thing, and then I'll talk about Aladdin.
Yeah.
So I'm not 100% on board with the Disney live action formula. I've actually been a very, very loud-spoken critic of it. Yeah. I don't think it's necessary. What I would have much rather they done is, for example, let's say, release a 4K, very new Ultra HD version of the animated movies, and then submitted those in their movie theater as a celebration of their archive. That for me would have been amazing, because we don't have 2D animation anymore. Very rarely do we get 2D animation anymore. Very rarely do we get 2D animation that looks that beautiful. Like it's just, but this is the way that Disney wants to go. They want to make it more, let's say, relevant or accessible to the new generation of kids. And that's okay. That's fine. I agree with you. Sometimes it can go very well. Sometimes it can go extremely wrong. Maleficent, extremely wrong. Dumbo, extremely wrong.
I didn't see it. Did you see it? Dumbo?
Yeah, it was terrible.
Really?
They like literally Tim Burton butchered Dumbo. Beauty and the Beast, not that great. Yeah. Cinderella and Jungle Book, on the other hand, those were really interesting and good live action adaptations, I thought. Yeah. Aladdin, I was in a very peculiar position with Aladdin, and I shared that peculiarity with you yesterday, a couple of days ago when we spoke. So a couple of months ago, I was cast to be in a commercial for Volkswagen.
Total flex.
And,
total flex.
Right there. I was the commercial is in collaboration with Aladdin, and so I took on the commercial. I did it, but then my co-host was like, "How are you gonna critique this movie if it's bad?" And I'm like, "Bruh, don't even. I don't even know." So we're at the premiere. We're walking in, and he's looking at me, and he's all like, "You've lost color in your face, dude. Are you gonna be okay?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm beyond nervous about this movie. Like, I'm so nervous about it." So I had also very low expectations. I was a very loud-spoken critic of Aladdin when the trailers came out. I was not impressed. I had issues with Mina Masood. I had issues with Will Smith. I had issues with Naomi Scott. And this is because Aladdin is literally my favorite Disney movie of all time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my nickname in high school was Aladdin. I literally had his hair. Literally. But then the movie starts, and the first scene is very cringy.
Yeah, it was. I can't. We couldn't hear you for the last 3 seconds.
Okay, so then it's very cringy in the beginning.
Yep.
But then the film picks up, and I'm not cringing. And I was like, wait, all right. And then it keeps going, and I'm like, wait, I'm still not cringing. I'm actually smiling. And I agree with you. I don't love the movie, but the movie was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
It was a lot of fun. It was very enjoyable. I actually didn't mind Mina Masood. I actually thought that he had the boy-like wonder that Aladdin had. What killed me was Jafar.
Yeah, Jafar is not the same character at all.
What killed me is because the narrative arc that they gave Jafar is actually amazing. The fact that he was a street rat, and then, he's literally the dark side to Aladdin's light side. Like, I loved that.
Yeah.
Character, screenwriting wise, I loved that. But the actor sucked.
Yeah, he was terrible.
I mean, where'd they grab him from? And I swear, I looked at his IMDb. This is the guy that literally got terrorist roles in cheapo terrorist movies. And it's like, why couldn't you get someone who's a little bit more
trained,
well seasoned to play this iconic Disney villain? Like, he made Darth Vader's no in Revenge of the Sith look like an acting achievement. It's and that's saying something. I was very disappointed with Jafar. I loved Will Smith. I give him kudos for taking on a role that's probably extremely daunting to take on.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And I'm glad that I did, because I really did not want to be negatively critiquing this movie.
Yeah, exactly. Because you might have been, have a dark gun outside your house.
Yeah, basically. Basically.
Oh, man. But yeah, I totally agree. Even just take the narrative out of it for a second. Jafar's voice is so iconic. You can tell Jafar is speaking from the second he speaks in the animated one, even if he's off screen. You know his voice. It's daunting. It's completely scary. It's ominous, and it's commanding. Bring me the lamp.
Yeah, literally. He sounded like, I'm like, what? Wait, really? That's the guy? Like Arab's Next Top Model is playing Jafar with a very high squeaky voice. I don't understand. I don't get it. I didn't get it. I'm sorry.
Look, I'm not a fan of people doing I guess blackface or whiteface for movies. But if they got someone like Jeremy Irons with that kind of
oh my god, you're
voice,
the fourth. You're literally the fourth person that agrees with. It was my sister, my co-host, me, and now you. Everybody's saying, why did they not pick Jeremy Irons for this?
I know. Because not only is his voice perfect, he knows how to play that kind of ominous, beating brow, fucked up going. He would have been so good.
Yes. And since Lion King he was too white for Lion King.
Yeah, what
Aladdin
the fuck is that?
could have
They got James Earl Jones. They got Chiwetel Ejiofor, which is a great character, by the way, and a great actor. Why wouldn't you get like the ultimate protagonist or the father figure with James Earl Jones and get the same villain that you already had? Why wouldn't you do that? It makes no sense.
Because Jeremy Irons is too white.
But they have Seth Rogen and they have fucking John Oliver in the movie.
Yeah, but Seth Rogen is playing Pumbaa, isn't he? No.
Yes,
is he playing Timon? He's playing Timon. Who's playing Timon?
Billy Eichner, I think.
Oh, okay. So you've got Billy Eichner, you've got John Oliver, and you've got Seth Rogen playing literal sidekicks. That's what they're playing.
Ouch. But I will say though, John Oliver as Zazu is perfect casting.
Oh,
like,
that's
absolutely
brilliant
perfect.
But like again, for me, like Rowan Atkinson is still alive.
I know,
why not? Why not bring him back in? Like, why did you have that? Like, why is it only James Earl Jones that gets to reprise a role that made him extremely just as iconic as Darth Vader? Like, but Scar is iconically Jeremy Irons. Like, I cannot picture anybody. Did I freeze again?
No, you're good.
Okay. I cannot picture anybody taking on Scar. I don't care how good. I can't even say his name, but I can't. I don't care how good he is. Like, he's just not. He's not Scar. He's not Scar.
Exactly. And like, I would be even totally fine with changing all the other sidekicks, but having the father figure and the antagonist in the movie be the same. That would actually have like kind of a cool like element of like cinematic arrival. Where like, okay, we're ushering out the old generation
and
of this
bringing in the new,
but we also have a hint of nostalgia for the voices that made this thing iconic in the first place. Like, that would be so much better. I don't know. Like, fuck, like, your Aladdin's your jam when you were a kid. The Lion King, I think, is literally a perfect film. Like, I watch it probably once a year, and, like...
It is a perfect... No, it's not... It's literally hidden in the Ten Commandments that thou shalt not hate the Lion King, because it's like...
Who can hate it? Nobody can hate it. Nobody can hate it.
Yeah, it's a brilliant movie. It's literally iconic.
And which sucks is because, like, so... I mean, when I first saw the original like teaser trailer, like with like the birth scene of Simba and like holding him up, okay, it was kind of muted color palette, but like, okay, if it's gonna be anything that's like the Jungle Book, where it's like, you know, you're gonna actually genuine emotion in the faces, and it's gonna be like amazing sweeping shots, then okay, like I'm actually kind of excited for this. And I host a podcast called The Secret Podcast, which I want to get you on as a guest, but
sure.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and you know, you're not easily offended, and neither are we, so we can just share each other.
Fuck that.
But anyway, so like we were talking about Disney live action remakes on a podcast, and you know, they jumped down my throat because I love Jungle Book, so I was saying, hey, you know, live action Lion King actually it could be good. They were jumping down my throat and saying like, you're advocating for unoriginality, fuck you. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. And then but then the second trailer came out, and I was like, ooh, with the fucking animals talking, like, and this is what I'll let you talk in a second, but this is like the thing that really slowed in the river for me. So you know the scene in the animated film when Simba finally kills Scar, and then he walks up to Pride Rock and does the triumphant roar at the assertive
kingship? Oh my god! And then forget that. It's just like Hans Zimmer's score is playing in my mind right now, like. So iconic.
It's so good. But then, and like, if you look at all the animals around in the rain, you see all of their emotional reactions, like, because they see this disenfranchised person actually embody the role he was set out to actually subsume to begin with. And you see the emotion in their faces. You see it's actually genuinely emotional. But when you see it in the live action trailer, they're all like, because they didn't anthropomorphize any of the faces. They went for super hyper realism, and it's jarring and uncanny. It sucks.
Yeah, look. The only thing making me slightly not worried about The Lion King is Jon Favreau, because in Jon Favreau I trust. You know, not to mention he's also like freaking doing The Mandalorian later this year. So I'm, you know, what.
Love that.
But I do agree that there does seem to be resting cat face on all the you know, like on all the lions, which is going to be slightly problematic in the movie if we cannot emote with these characters, or if we cannot engage with them. And this is what I'm afraid of. The other thing is that in the animation, you have the ability to distinguish the characters from each other due to color palette.
Exactly.
Now they all just look like bloody lions, and it just does not work. Like, I cannot tell Sarabi from Nala, and that's a problem if I can't tell Simba's mom from Simba's girlfriend. Like, that's a problem.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, it's a little too much like a Lannister for me. Like, I can't, you know, it's a little, you know. The only reason why Scar works is because, like, Scar is now turned into, like, almost an albino lion. You know.
And like, also, the scar is so muted too. Like, it looks like one of his eyes is cloudy. It doesn't have the iconic slash over his eye.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Which is weird because his name is Scar for a freaking reason. But then again, like, we critique it this way, and then again, there's this moment in the second trailer where Scar is like, he's like standing, and then you see the hyenas, and then there's like this little like twitch of an ear, and I'm like, that looks so good. Like, it's crazy because, like, I'm so on the fence about, like, I in some cases I love this thing, and in other cases I'm just like, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. We'll just have to wait and see.
I know. And like, the thing is, like, let me be clear. I think Jon Favreau is one of the most underrated directors working right now, hands down. Like,
absolutely.
People
absolutely.
do not give him enough credit because, like, first of all, he started the MCU. He made the Jungle Book in a fucking 60 by like 150 warehouse, and it looks like it took place in the fucking Amazon. Like he is an absurdly talented director. Even his passion projects like Chef are really interesting.
I love Chef.
Yeah,
and now he's coming out with a new show. He's coming out with a new show on Netflix that is it's all like kind of based on Chef.
Really?
It looks amazing. Look it up. I forget its name. But like, look it up.
Sweet.
I saw the trailer. I was like smiling the entire time. I was like, this is gonna be my show for the summer because it looks amazing.
Yeah, Favreau's a great director. He's so fucking talented. But
agreed.
Yeah, agreed. But dude, it's like, I don't know. Like, that movie, like, again, it just goes back to, like, okay. The reason why the Jungle Book worked is because of three things. One, they had a kid, which the kid wasn't a great actor. Whatever, he's fine enough. Number two, like, you could see the actual emotions on the animals' faces. So, like, you can actually relate somewhat, even though it's kind of dipping in the uncanny valley. And number three, the narrative was different enough where it could actually stand by itself, but it also complements the original movie. With The Lion King, I feel like they're literally just taking hyper-realism and just putting it as a veneer over the animated film. And I'm just like, if you're not going to do anything different with this, and it's going to be like an unemotional caricature of what's come before, then what's the point?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I think they should have considered that a little bit more because, again, the beauty of Disney is that it's not real. Like, that's the beauty of Disney, you know, like, that's the idea of imagination and creativity and, like, telling these fairy tales and telling these, like, you know, iconic stories is that it's not real. And now we're, you know, diving deep into the, you know, hyper reality, whatever. You know, I don't know if I want to see an actual murder in a Lion King. I don't know if I want to see that. I don't know if I want to see an actual murder taking place, you know, like, because again, you know, that stampede scene with Mufasa dying, I don't know if I want to see a real lion doing this, you know what I mean? If I wanted to do that, I'd watch National Geographic, or like Animal Planet or something.
Yeah, exactly. Or Shark Week if you want to go to the ocean, but
well,
yeah, well, I mean, Shark Week's my guilty pleasure, you know, for sure. In
a couple of years we're probably gonna get Finding Nemo, the live action edition.
Yeah, and like, God damn, I really hope it doesn't happen. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. And that literally chills in my fucking spine. Can you imagine like a sea bass like trying to talk like in a movie? Oh.
I don't even, anyway.
But like, you know, before we get off this subject, what do you think is like the next like live action remake they'll probably try and do?
Well, I mean, we know that Mulan is already in the works.
I know that one, but...
I know The Sword in the Stone and Lady and the Tramp are going to be direct to their live streaming service live action remakes. They're not going to be released in movie theaters. But they're going to go straight to Disney Plus, which for me is stupid because they could have had a really good opportunity with The Sword and the Stone, because that's one of like, here's the thing. So like, and this goes back to what I wanted to say earlier about the Disney live action remake formula. If they had picked the movies that did not necessarily succeed as animations, like they're not so popular movies, like The Sword and the Stone, like The Black Cauldron, like
Treasure Planet, The Rescuers, Treasure Planet,
Treasure Planet, Hunchback of Notre Dame, whatever. Those movies that aren't necessarily that well loved or were not that well loved among critics. If you were to take those and make them into live action movies, I'd be on board with that, because at least you're trying to get people back on board with these movies. But you're taking iconic movies and you're turning them into live action, and you're expecting the fan base that grew up with these movies not to get pissy. I mean,
yeah.
So I know for a fact that they're doing Sword in the Stone, Lady and the Tramp, Mulan. And then there was talk of a Tinkerbell movie, a Cruella de Vil movie.
Tinkerbell?
And yeah, I don't know why, but yeah, apparently. And there were rumors going around that there are talks about them doing a live action remake of The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't know how I feel about The Hunchback of Notre Dame, like coming to live action.
See, I personally love the animated movie.
No, me too. I love it too, but like,
I think it's gorgeous. I think it's beautiful. I think the songs are insanely good.
Yeah.
There's also, did I freeze again?
No.
Okay. There's also, I thought there were talks also about The Little Mermaid. So,
yeah.
Literally, Disney's taking all of their iconic Oscar-nominated films and turning them into non-iconic, non-Oscar-nominated movies.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Like,
because that's what you should do with your legacy.
Yeah. And so, like, my original question for like, what do you think is going to come to the forefront next from the live action remakes? I think that, like, I totally agree with you. We're like taking the films that maybe didn't have much of like an iconic place or a landmark achievement place in animation. Like, I think Treasure Planet is actually very underrated, but I think that
I love that movie.
But that would work so well in live action. It really would, because
yes, it would. It would be like a Disney-fied version of Star Wars. Like, that's what it would be.
Exactly.
It would be like,
it would be super steampunk, like it's like industrial, but like super high tech, and like the whole, like, you could have an absurd, like, opportunity for like space battles and stuff. Like, that would be so
absolutely
perfect. Like, God,
absolutely. But unfortunately, the lead is a white male.
Well, so is Notre Dame, right? Hunchback.
Yeah, but I mean, he's like a hunchback and whatever. So he's got victim written all over him. So that's fine. He's also not an alpha male either. So
yeah, he's not even beta. I'd say he's gamma, to be honest with you.
I mean, it's got the right formula written.
Oh shit. And last thing here, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but most anticipated or most you're looking forward to this movie the most in 2019, with the rest of the year. What do you got?
Episode 9.
Episode 9?
Honestly. Yeah, honestly. I really hope that this movie reunites the fan base, because Star Wars is awesome. Like, I don't want people chomping on each other's throats. I felt the same way about Game of Thrones this year, with people like, getting all angry and yelling at it. I'm like, guys, you didn't like it. I liked it. Let's just enjoy it anyway. You know what I mean? Like, so I really hope that JJ brings it back home properly. And I think he might do it. I'm a big JJ fan. I like his work. So, I think he might bring it home the right way. So that's the one I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah, for sure. And like, what's really interesting about that? The whole like didactic battle between people that love The Last Jedi and people who hate The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird because, like, look, I wasn't a big fan of the movie, to be honest with you. I really wasn't. I think we talked about this when we first like started talking on like Twitter and stuff. And like, I can totally say that, okay, while I didn't like the movie and I didn't feel like some of the emotional arcs were earned, you did. That's totally fine. Like if you found solace and like emotional arrival in a movie and I didn't, that's totally fine. That's all subjective. Like, but like, I will say, like, The Last Jedi is an insanely well-crafted movie in terms of logistics and in terms of the practicality, like the light speed scene, which I have a different problem with, but the beauty of that moment is sublime. The lightsaber sequence with Rey and Luke, Rey and Kylo is
in the throne room, right?
Yeah,
so good.
The salt planet, like
minus the slight continuity error in that scene.
Yeah,
but,
exactly. Yeah,
that's all right.
But the salt.
Oh yeah, and then Crate, with the red and everything. Yeah, I mean,
supremely well crafted and well directed. And even though I didn't agree with some of the choices in the script, other people do. That is totally fine. I don't fault anybody for their opinion. I feel like if you have any kind of opinion that I guess diverges from like the Comic-Con convention Star Wars fans, they completely jump down your throat and they say fuck you. So it's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Here's
my take on The Last Jedi. And I'm, the more I live with it, the more I'm able to articulate exactly how I feel about it. I think it's a great Star Wars film. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a great part 2.
Yes.
That's my main issue with it. I think Rian Johnson visually did something really amazing.
Yep.
I think Rian Johnson narratively did something really stupid.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because did I cut out
a little bit?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you watch, I was saying, if you watch The Director and the Jedi, which is like the hour-long or hour-and-a-half documentary about The Last Jedi, the majority of the time you see Rian Johnson talking about subverting expectations and blah, blah, blah. The whole thing about subverting expectations is if your intention is to subvert, then you're going to end up with a hollow shell. You're not going to end up with subverting expectations because you're going to be subverting expectations at every turn to the point where everything feels unearned. And that's exactly what happened in the movie. I don't understand why someone like Rian Johnson, who knew that there was an outline that JJ had set up for this trilogy, why you would go ahead and grab the outline for the second parter and throw it in the trash. Yeah. I don't understand. I don't get that idea. I don't get it at all. For you to completely ignore what was already laid before you is a stupid creative thing to do.
Yeah.
Is he a good director? Yes.
Oh, yes.
Did he visually offer us a beautiful Star Wars film? Yes. Is it a film that I watch and I enjoy when I watch it? Yes. Does it make me worried about episode 9 and the relevance of episode 9 to episode 7 to episode 8? Abso-fucking-lutely. Because I don't know how J.J. Abrams is going to be able to tie it all up. And I think this is exactly why J.J. was like, yeah, first thing I'm going to do is a time jump so that people can kind of put to rest The Last Jedi and know that there's some time gap so that I can kind of start from scratch. That's what narratives do whenever they need to clean up messes. A lot of TV shows do this. They do a time jump between seasons and you're like, okay, now we're all fresh, Yeah. So, I'm hoping for the best. So.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. And JJ hasn't written a bad script in my opinion. Like even like the weaker ones like Star Trek Into Darkness, it gets the foundation well enough where like it's a good situation. So I'm excited for that one too. But my biggest one is Tarantino's 9th film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that's coming out in July. I am so excited for that because not only is it going to feature a really interesting time like the 60s in Hollywood, we're going to see basically two of the last true leading men in movies work together in a synergistic leading role. That's just going to be absurd. I'm so excited. And plus, Tarantino's writing ability has only improved his age. Even though people don't like The Hateful Eight, the script is absolutely brilliantly structured and brilliantly teased, even though the execution of the movie is a little bit slow. But his writing ability is only getting better and better, and this is going to be an absurd movie. And I Bailey was on from Loverboy Media a couple months ago. He said, I don't see a possibility in which that film is anything less than spectacular, which it's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
I'm not the biggest Tarantino fan, I gotta say.
Okay.
But this is one movie that I don't want to miss.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of all of his movies. There are movies that he's directed that I appreciate and I like. But that's the thing. Like, I don't love any of his movies. I appreciate them. I like them, but I don't love them. And then I respect who he is in cinema. Like, I respect what he's given cinema. But he's just not like
no cup of tea. It's totally fine.
Yeah, he's not my cup of tea. But this movie, yes, I am excited to see it. The more I see the trailer, the more pumped I get, I guess.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. All right, man. Well, you got shit to do, and you have a life, and I do not, so I got to let you go. But for people gonna watch in the future, tell everyone where they can find you, your podcast, your Twitter, all that stuff.
Sure. So very recently, I switched my Instagram went from being at Alan Mehanna to at Script to Screen Pod, and I opened a private, like a personal account on the side, so you can follow the podcast at Script to Screen Pod on Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter at Alan Mehanna. And I'm going to be starting up a new podcast soon, so I'm pretty psyched about that. But English speakers might find it a little difficult because some of the conversations that are going to be had on that show are going to be in Arabic. But I'm excited to start it anyway. It's going to be called Conversations in Beirut, and I'm going to be talking to independent artists in Lebanon. So it's going to be a very, very cool endeavor, I guess.
Awesome. And your podcast can be found on iTunes. And
podcast can be found on all podcast platforms. If any of you have the app, also send us voice messages on it. If you ever want to be featured on the podcast or you have feedback on any of our episodes, please do that. If you want to email us for the podcast, it's scriptedscreenshow@gmail.com. And that's script, the number 2 screen, and then show@gmail.com.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm glad we got to do this finally.
Me too.
And going forward, we'll definitely collaborate and then do some more podcasts, maybe a video essay here and there. I could be a guest in your podcast, something like that.
Definitely.
But, truly a big fan. I'm glad you came on, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Lone Chemist Podcast. We out.